Have you ever felt drained by the constant demands of others, especially as you get older? Do you sometimes wonder if it's possible to preserve your peace and still maintain meaningful relationships without overextending yourself? Well, you're not alone, and you're definitely in the right place. In today's video, we're diving into something incredibly important for anyone stepping into their golden years: learning how to cultivate a gentle coldness that protects your well-being. By watching this video, you'll discover how setting boundaries, without feeling guilty, can help you preserve your emotional energy and mental clarity. We'll explore practical tips on how to stay calm in emergencies, protect yourself from toxic people, and avoid unnecessary stress in your relationships. These strategies aren't just about keeping your peace. They're about thriving in your later years with a sense of balance and inner calm. You'll also learn why overcommitting socially can lead to burnout, how to handle sensitive financial and personal questions with grace, and why sometimes saying no is the most loving thing you can do for yourself and others. Whether you're navigating family dynamics, dealing with unwanted social pressures, or just trying to preserve your mental health, this video will provide you with tools that will help you age with dignity, peace, and a sense of control. Stick with me until the end, and I'll share actionable insights that can transform how you approach your relationships, your time, and most importantly, yourself. Ready to find out how a little coldness can lead to a much warmer and more fulfilling life? Let's dive in. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Of course, being kind and supportive to others is undoubtedly one of the most admirable qualities a person can have. It's a beautiful way to live, to offer help and positivity, to be there for the people you care about. But there comes a moment, often quieter than we expect, when you realize that to maintain that generosity, you need to protect your peace. It's a hard truth to accept, but it's essential. You can't endlessly pour your energy into everyone around you and still expect to be emotionally and mentally well. We're not designed to operate as endless sources of energy for others. We are human, after all. It's only natural that, over time, you'll start to feel drained. And the worst part? Once you've reached that point, the consequences can be startlingly profound. That's when feelings of loneliness or a sense of neglect begin to creep in, and it's a quiet, insidious thing. You find yourself unable to stay mentally present or emotionally open to those around you, and yet, you feel you have to keep going, even when you're empty inside. This is where setting boundaries, learning to say no, or at least not right now, becomes not just a tool, but a lifeline. Think about it. No one can be a perpetual ray of sunshine. Even the brightest star in the sky, the one that illuminates everything around it, still has its limits. Eventually, even the sun must set. We all have our boundaries, and by recognizing and honoring them, we can avoid burning out completely. Learning how to allow just a touch of coldness into our lives, some space for ourselves, isn't a weakness. It's a gift, both to ourselves and to those around us. By preserving our inner resources, we can ensure that we still have the strength to be kind, to be supportive, to be present for the long haul. And when we do so, we don't lose our ability to be optimistic or compassionate. Instead, we refuel ourselves so that we can continue to share those qualities with others. Let's talk about one crucial skill that becomes even more vital as we age: staying calm amid emergencies. I've noticed it time and again in older Americans, those rushed movements, the need to keep up with the younger generation. I've seen older folks hurrying across parking lots, walking briskly to keep up with the pace of others, even driving aggressively just to stay in the game, as if trying to prove they can still keep up with the speed of life. But here's the truth: hurrying only leads to mistakes, often big ones. A small misstep, a missed curb, or turning too quickly might seem insignificant, but it can result in something far worse than we expect. In our younger years, we might stumble and quickly brush it off, but in later life, a fall can mean serious injury, broken bones, a trip to the hospital, or even worse. And that's just one example. Emergencies are a part of life, for people of all ages. But as we get older, the urgency can feel even more overwhelming. Maybe your spouse suddenly feels dizzy and passes out, or you wake up to the sound of a smoke alarm blaring in the middle of the night. The instinct might be to panic, to rush toward the situation, hoping you can fix it all immediately. But what if, instead of rushing forward, you took just a moment, a mere breath, to pause, collect yourself, and think before acting? I truly believe that this small moment of calmness could make all the difference. When you rush blindly into a situation, not only do you risk making things worse, but you also invite more unnecessary stress and chaos into an already overwhelming moment. I'll never forget hearing about Mr. Johnson, a 75-year-old retired accountant from Chicago, who once found himself in an emergency that could have been prevented. One afternoon, he locked himself out of his house, with his 2-year-old grandson inside. In his panic, Mr. Johnson tried to force a spare key into the door, but in his haste, he snapped the key right in half. His grandson, terrified, cried out from the other side. Mr. Johnson's heart raced, and his frantic attempts to fix the problem, searching for tools, calling for neighbors, trying to peer through windows, were all done in a rush. Nothing worked. Everything he did was hurried, and it only made matters worse. Eventually, a neighbor called 911, and the police had to arrive to open the window. Looking back on that situation, it's clear that a few moments of calm could have spared Mr. Johnson and his grandson a lot of distress. If only he had taken a deep breath, thought things through, and avoided rushing into the situation, things would have been far less chaotic. In times of crisis, we often inflate the urgency in our minds, leading us to act recklessly. The lesson here is that slowing down, even for just a second, can clear your mind and give you a moment of clarity. That clarity can offer a path to a much better solution. It's not about coldness or detachment. It's about taking care of yourself so that you're able to face the situation with level-headedness and wisdom. Now, let's dive into another essential topic: dealing with toxic or negative people as you age. It's something I've seen all too often. As we get older, we find ourselves coming into contact with people from our past. People who were never truly supportive, who may have wronged us in the past, or simply those who drag us down with their constant negativity. When we retire, when we step back from the demands of work and busy schedules, we might find ourselves crossing paths with these individuals more often, whether at church, social events, or even just around the neighborhood. We might feel obligated to be polite, to engage in small talk. But here's the truth: we don't owe anyone our time or energy, especially not those who leave us feeling drained or anxious. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. While younger people can often shake off toxic encounters more easily, older adults need to be much more selective about who they allow into their space. It's not about being rude, it's about protecting your peace. Remaining distant, while still being polite, is an act of self-preservation. By doing so, you keep your emotional energy intact. You're not required to engage in every conversation or to tolerate the negativity of people who've hurt you in the past. You've earned the right to choose who you spend your time with, and whom you give your attention to. You don't need to please everyone anymore. That's the beauty of getting older. You've learned that time is precious, and it should be spent with those who truly add to your life. It's important to know that the peace you've worked so hard to cultivate is worth protecting. In our society, especially in big cities and busy suburbs, there's often an overwhelming number of social events, gatherings, and volunteer opportunities. While they can be wonderful ways to stay connected, they can also become overwhelming. As you get older, you learn to cherish solitude and meaningful relationships over the need to constantly be surrounded by others. It's not about being antisocial. It's about honoring your own needs and your energy. In the end, it's the deep connections, the true friends, and the quiet moments of peace that bring us the most joy. And as we age, that is the gift we must cherish and protect above all. As we age, we often find ourselves navigating the fine line between staying socially active and preserving our peace of mind. While it's wonderful to attend the occasional class reunion or join a new club, the subtle pressure to show up for every event, try every new hobby, or immerse ourselves in every social opportunity can become overwhelming. Overcommitting, even with the best intentions, can lead to burnout and leave us feeling drained rather than fulfilled. Many gatherings, despite their cheerful appearances, sometimes morph into a competition. Who's had the most illustrious career, who boasts the most luxurious retirement, or whose grandchildren are the brightest stars? And let's not ignore the insidious scams that often lurk in such settings, with slick-talking individuals eager to sell you a too-good-to-be-true timeshare, a miracle health cure, or a questionable financial plan. This is why being selective with your commitments is not only wise but also essential for preserving your energy and mental well-being. Choose to spend your time in ways that truly uplift you. If an event is filled with people you genuinely enjoy or focuses on something that sparks real passion, perhaps an art class or a book club, then it's worth your time. But if it's likely to be a room buzzing with empty boasting or manipulative pitches, perhaps the better option is to stay home and savor the quiet joys of life. Tending to your garden, immersing yourself in a captivating book, or enjoying a light, heartfelt walk with a dear friend. These moments of peace often hold far more meaning than the superficiality of larger social scenes. When you consciously reduce these surface-level interactions, you create room for deeper, more meaningful relationships. It's a beautiful paradox. Embracing a little distance or coldness can bring warmth and richness to your life. This principle also applies to family dynamics, especially with adult children. Once our kids grow up, marry, and settle into their own lives, it's natural for us to want to guide them, especially if we've retired and have more time to observe their choices. Maybe you've got opinions about their spouse, their parenting approach, or their financial habits. While our experience is valuable, being overly involved or offering unsolicited advice can strain relationships. The art of parenting adult children lies in finding the balance between caring and detachment. Watch from a distance, and if your insights are sought, share them gently. But let them make their own choices, even their mistakes. It can be tempting to step in when tensions arise, especially if you see your son and daughter-in-law arguing or if your grandchildren seem to need more support. However, intervening too often can unintentionally create new conflicts. Children, like anyone else, grow stronger by navigating their challenges. Giving them space isn't a sign of indifference. It's a gift of trust and confidence in their ability to learn and thrive. And, of course, if a situation becomes truly dire, your loving guidance can be a lifeline. But for the smaller hurdles, allowing them to stumble teaches resilience, for them and peace for you. This philosophy of focusing on quality over quantity extends to friendships, too. One of the most profound lessons I've learned is the value of a small circle of true friends over a vast network of acquaintances. In our later years, we don't need to surround ourselves with dozens of people. We need a few trusted souls who genuinely care for us. Large groups often bring drama, gossip, or misunderstandings, especially in tight-knit senior communities. A smaller, more intimate circle offers the kind of connection that doesn't demand constant effort or perfection. True friends allow us to simply be, without fear of judgment or expectation. Lastly, this thoughtful, selective approach also applies to discussions about money and finances. In our golden years, the financial landscape varies dramatically. Some of us are fortunate to have robust retirement funds, while others rely solely on Social Security or continue working part-time to make ends meet. Life circumstances, health challenges, career changes, or family responsibilities shape our financial stories. Navigating conversations about pensions, savings, or Social Security can be tricky, as they often highlight disparities. A bit of distance or discretion in such conversations can shield you from unnecessary comparisons or judgments, and help maintain a sense of dignity and contentment. Ultimately, life in later years is about simplifying, cherishing, and focusing on what truly matters: peace, meaningful relationships, and well-being. By being deliberate about your choices and gently prioritizing yourself, you create space for a life filled with quiet joys and genuine connections. In this, there is true wisdom and freedom. When people inquire about your finances, how much you receive in Social Security, what your pension looks like, or whether you've managed to save a substantial amount, it can often feel like an uncomfortable intrusion. The reality is that discussing your finances with others can be a minefield of awkwardness and potential harm. Boasting about financial stability may unintentionally alienate those who are struggling, making them feel inadequate or even resentful. On the other hand, admitting to financial hardship can open you up to unwanted pity, judgment, or even manipulation. Some ask these personal questions with ulterior motives, perhaps fishing for information in the hopes of drawing you into an investment scheme that may not be as sound as it appears. It's a common courtesy to keep financial discussions private. A simple response such as, "I get by," or "I'm comfortable enough to manage," can protect you from oversharing while still offering enough of an answer to satisfy curiosity. Your bank balance, mortgage, healthcare expenses, these are deeply personal matters, and there's no need to divulge them to others unless you choose to. It's the same when it comes to discussing your children. Maybe your kids are thriving, earning well, and living their best lives. Maybe they're struggling financially, and you're there to support them each month. Either way, sharing too much can lead to envy or judgment from others, and you're opening the door to all kinds of unspoken comparisons. Some may feel envious if your children are successful, while others may look at your family situation with pity if your children are facing hardships. It's none of their business, and it's certainly not something that needs to be broadcast. If someone tries, a neutral, pleasant answer like, "She's doing well, thank you," can be just the thing to shut down the conversation while maintaining your dignity and respect. In life, we learn that preserving some emotional distance isn't cold or harsh, it's a necessary protection. Keeping some things to yourself shields you from uncomfortable or manipulative situations. This is especially true when it comes to discussing your children's romantic lives. As parents, we can't help but feel protective of our children, even when they're adults. We may question the choices they make, whether it's about the person they're dating or their life partner. It's natural to want to protect them from potential hurt, especially when we might not fully approve of their partner or fear cultural differences. But as hard as it may be, once they are grown, we must relinquish control and trust them to make their own decisions. If they turn to us for advice, we can offer our perspective gently, but we must resist the urge to dictate their choices. If someone in your circle asks, "So, what do you think of your son's fiancée? Is she the right one for him?" it's best to respond with a neutral answer. Often, such questions aren't driven by genuine concern but by a thirst for gossip. A simple, moderate response such as, "I trust my child's judgment, and I'm here if they need me," keeps things civil while protecting your relationship with your child. By withholding judgment, either positive or negative, you are preventing unnecessary tension and allowing your child to navigate their emotional terrain without interference. If their relationship faces difficulties, you can provide support, but you do not need to take charge of their personal life. This is the kind of emotional coldness that is an act of love, a way of giving your children the freedom to learn and grow on their own. As we age, we often feel a sense of guilt when we are unable to help others in the ways we once did. If a friend, neighbor, or even someone from your community asks for assistance, whether it's moving furniture, fixing a roof, or handling a physically demanding chore, it can be hard to say no, especially if you've always been the go-to person. But as we grow older, it's vital to acknowledge the limits of our bodies. Once simple tasks can now pose serious health risks. The idea of lifting a heavy box or climbing a ladder may seem harmless, but one wrong move could result in a serious injury, turning what should be the golden years into a painful series of doctor visits. So instead of pushing yourself to the limit, it's perfectly okay to say, "I'm sorry, but I'm not sure I can manage that safely." It's not a selfish or uncaring response. It's an honest and necessary one. You may suggest a professional service or direct them to a local volunteer group for help. By setting boundaries, you are ensuring that you stay healthy so that you can enjoy your life to its fullest. Remember, your well-being is important too. At the end of the day, embracing a bit of emotional distance, a certain coldness, isn't about being unkind. It's about recognizing that your health, your finances, and your family's privacy are yours to protect. It's a form of self-care that allows you to preserve your peace and keep your relationships intact without sacrificing your boundaries. This is the wisdom of age, understanding that we can still give love and care without exposing ourselves to unnecessary stress or hurt. And in doing so, we are giving ourselves the gift of a more peaceful, fulfilling life. As we grow older, there's a whole new set of challenges that often arise. Financial worries, navigating family dynamics, and physical demands that become harder to meet. But beyond these major concerns, there are countless smaller, yet equally draining, inquiries that seem to slip in unnoticed, tugging at your attention and energy. Questions like, could you watch my grandkids while I go on vacation? What do you think about investing in my new home flipping venture? Do you know what's going on with the neighbors and their divorce? It's as if, once you've crossed a certain age, everyone feels entitled to ask for something from you, whether it's time, money, or an opinion. And before you know it, you're bogged down in a relentless stream of requests and opinions that don't serve your peace of mind. It's so easy to feel cornered and pressured to offer an immediate response. But here's the truth. Sometimes the best response is no response at all, or a kind, non-committal answer. And this is where many of us can struggle, especially if we've spent most of our lives putting others' needs first. However, as time goes on, we realize that the need to constantly be available, to give everything of ourselves, is no longer healthy or sustainable. At some point, we must honor our boundaries and protect our peace. Older adults, just like anyone else, can find themselves amid family drama, neighborhood gossip, or social obligations that can be incredibly draining. It's important to remember that being distant or reserved doesn't mean you don't care. Quite the opposite, it's an act of self-preservation. Sometimes, stepping back and allowing time and space to work things out naturally is far more effective than rushing to resolve every issue or inserting yourself into every conflict. With the wisdom that comes with age, we start to understand that many of life's challenges, especially those that aren't directly ours to handle, are best left to settle on their own. Consider this. Each time you pause and refrain from reacting impulsively to someone's request or an intrusive question, you're giving yourself a gift, time to reflect and safeguard your inner peace. At that moment, you're saying, my emotional well-being is more valuable than constantly trying to accommodate others or be the one with all the answers. It's not about becoming cold or detached. It's about choosing to conserve your energy for moments that truly matter. You're not closing yourself off from helping others or offering wisdom when it's needed, but you've learned to pause long enough to ask yourself, is my involvement here truly necessary? Will my response bring clarity, or will it just create more tension and stress? If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. In our culture, we talk endlessly about the importance of diet and exercise, but rarely do we address the quiet, invisible toll that an overcommit schedule or meddling in the lives of others can have on our emotional and physical health. By embracing a certain degree of coldness, setting boundaries, refusing to be pulled into every situation, you make room for tranquility. You free yourself from the constant weight of obligations, giving yourself the freedom to enjoy the simple, beautiful things in life. Curling up with a good book, taking a slow walk through the park, sipping tea in the garden, or spending time with a beloved pet. These small, everyday moments, which we often overlook in the hustle and bustle of life, are what truly nourishes our soul and body. In this space of stillness, we reconnect with ourselves and find the kind of peace that is essential for living a long, healthy life. And then, of course, there's the world of technology. The smartphones, social media, and the endless flood of online notifications and invitations. Many seniors feel an overwhelming pressure to keep up, to be present on every social media platform, to engage in every chat, and to respond to every message. It's understandable, as technology can be a wonderful tool for staying connected with family and friends. However, if we aren't careful, it can also overwhelm us, dragging us into unnecessary drama or feeding us misinformation. Exercising coldness here means being selective about where and when you engage. Maybe you decide to check in on social media once a day or once a week, avoiding the constant barrage of opinions and demands. You can enjoy the connections that technology brings without letting it take over your life. As you practice this self-protective coldness, you'll likely encounter some resistance from others. Some might call you distant or standoffish, misunderstanding your boundaries as unkindness. Don't let these judgments shake you. People who truly understand you will respect your need for peace and space. Those who try to pressure you into more involvement or accuse you of being distant are only revealing why your boundaries are necessary. It's important to remember that coldness is not about shutting yourself off from the world or becoming unkind. It's about protecting your heart and mind from being constantly pulled in every direction, so you can focus on what truly matters, your well-being. So, if you've spent most of your life caring for others, raising children, working hard to provide, taking care of loved ones, it's okay to finally turn that same care inward. It's okay to prioritize your peace, your quiet moments, and your happiness. You've earned it. You've earned the right to say no without feeling guilty, to not explain yourself every time, and to let some conversations fade away unanswered. It might feel unfamiliar at first, especially if you've been a lifelong caretaker. But this shift, this embrace of solitude and self-care, is the most profound gift you can give yourself. In the end, a happier, healthier you is not only a blessing to yourself, but also to those who love you. You'll be more present, more grounded, and more capable of offering genuine support when it truly matters. As we wrap up today's discussion, I want to take a moment to reflect on everything we've talked about. It's clear that as we age, the need to protect our peace and set boundaries becomes even more important. We've learned that it's okay to say no, to step back, and to prioritize our well-being. We've also explored how embracing a little bit of coldness in our interactions can create the mental and emotional space we need to truly enjoy life and nurture our inner tranquility. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What is one thing you've learned from today's video that you're going to bring into practice in your life? Is it the power of setting boundaries or the importance of taking time for yourself? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to reading your comments. Take care and remember, your peace matters.